Hey, virtual kiddos. So we're doing a quick discussion this morning over the sections of the article that we read yesterday. So here are your 2 questions. If you want to pause the video, just kind of answer them with mom, dad, brother, sister, someone who's at home with you, or just kind of think about them in your own head. We're going to come back and discuss in just a second. All right, raising your hand. In that first section, the scary, creepy page, what were some details that told us what America looked like to Robert? What were some details in that very first section? Noah?
Dangerous.
Okay, it looked maybe dangerous. What's another detail? Hang on, let me pull my article up. Okay. All right. What were some other details that we could have seen? Brennan? He said it was beautiful. Anybody else? Miley? Might be gold there. JC?
Out before him, stretched out before him was a place of unimaginable beauty. Golden beaches sloped into the blue water. Deep
Hummed?
with the sound of fog. This was Roanoke, a tiny island off the coast of what is English called Virginia.
Very good. All right, so what JC read to you, I'm just going to reread it, honey, so that they can all hear, okay?
I'm not done. I have it today. Is the part of
Okay, very good, sister.
the last part.
So this is what JC read to us, this middle part. Everyone put your eyeballs right there on this middle paragraph, because I'm going to read this to you, okay? It said, but when Robert stepped on shore the warm day in 1587, memories of the nightmarish trip melted away. Stretched out before him was a place of unimaginable beauty. What did he say it looked like? Very good. Golden beaches sloped into glittering water. Close your eyes. I'm going to say that again. Golden beaches sloped into glittering water. Can you just picture that in your mind?
Yeah.
What that looks like? Okay, keep them close. Listen to this. Thick forests hummed with the sound of frogs. Can you see it? Can you hear it? Okay. What about this last one here? It said this was Roanoke, a tiny island off the coast of what the English called Virginia. So what are you picturing in your mind right now? What are you picturing? I'm imagining myself on an island. What do I see on my island? Beautiful golden sand. What else do I see? The beautiful green forest. What do you think I hear on my island? Frogs? What else do you think I could hear? It said the golden beaches into the glistening water. The waves. Yeah, guys. The author uses what we call imagery. Say imagery. She paints a picture of the scene that Robert would have looked at when he stepped off the ship. Did they have cameras back then? No. Okay? So we're unable to look at what it looked like back then. All we can do is describe it. Okay? We have to paint our own picture. Very good. Let's look at our second question. Based on many wonders, freeze. What does this mean when it says based on many wonders? That's where, this is what? The heading of our section. So where do I need to go right now? To many wonders. So everyone flip to many wonders.
I finished the first and it's telling how it changed because it changed from an island to a place called Virginia, and today it's North Carolina.
That's still an island, baby. It's just today in our time, we know that it's a little island in North Carolina. Okay? All right. How were the 1500s a time of change? That's kind of a hard question. So let's look at our section, Many Wonders. Oh,
The Google answer.
no. Oh, no.
Did it keep you on?
It did. It's okay. We can pull it back up. Okay. What did we learn in that section about many wonders? Think about all those different countries. It said Europe, France, Spain, Portugal. How was life changing for them? Michaela. They were coming to a land full of what? Beauty. They were looking at all these animals that Michaela just listed. They saw things like grizzly bears and beavers and buffalo and salmon and geese flying so thick in the air that they blocked out the sun. Okay? Why were those countries coming here?
For freedom and money.
Yes, for freedom and for money. And then some of them sadly were brought here. Why? For slavery. Yes, they were. Very good. All right, kiddos, grab out your main idea graphic organizer and an expo marker. I'm picking 3 kiddos out of the popsicle stick bucket. And I'm looking at who they are. And if I can see, if those 3 kiddos have all their stuff out and listen to me through my model, they will get a bingo chip. These 3 kiddos, I'm not going to tell you who they are yet. Okay, I've got them picked. You sneaker, don't look. He's peeking over here. He's just being silly. All right, kiddos.
Do you have one? Are you reading the paragraph of me?
Okay, so talking with my homeroom yesterday, yesterday afternoon, I've noticed that this is something we're struggling with, and that's okay. This is a really hard skill. Looking at 3, 4, 5 paragraphs at a time and having to pick one main idea, that's hard, okay? So instead of just looking at the first, second, last sentence, we're going to change that. I'm going to put a new anchor chart up. We are going to look at the first sentence of every paragraph. What are we going to look at?
First sentence of every paragraph.
Okay, so every single paragraph in our section, our job is going to be to read it through, look at our title, look at our heading, and then when we go back to reread, that's what we're rereading, okay? Because sometimes I think that we're missing the important stuff in the middle because we're only looking at that first, second, and at that last, okay? So we're going to read each sentence, or the first sentence of each paragraph. What am I rereading? Okay, I am going to do a better life for you. Well, you're going to kind of help me a little bit. We're going to kind of do like a little bit of what we do. And then you guys are going to do grave danger and then the first one on the next page after that together. Okay? All right, so where should we be looking right now? We did many wonders yesterday, so which one are we doing now? A better life. I'm going to read, but you need to be following along with me so you can put your eyes right there on your screen. Remember, virtual kiddos, you're going to want to have my video open and your article open at the same time, okay? That way you're able to follow along with me. And still see what we're doing, okay? Here we go. A better life. Remember, I am a good reader. And when I am looking for main idea, I know step 1 is to read it. The passage, the title, the headings. Okay, looking at my text features on the page. Here I see my heading in blue. It's called A Better Life. I see a picture of buffalo next to me. All right, we're going to read it. By the time, let me put my mouth guard in. Where did it go? Okay. By the time Robert was born in the late 1500s, explorers weren't the only ones visiting America. Ordinary Europeans had started moving there to form colonies. These settlers built new towns while collecting and sometimes stealing natural treasures. Spain had already grown rich off its many colonies, becoming the most powerful nation in the world. England decided to set up its own colony. Remember, that's when Queen Elizabeth I tapped Raleigh and told him to go build a colony. This is when Queen Elizabeth, remember, Spain is our who? Enemy. We saw how powerful Spain was becoming, and we said we want a piece of that. Okay? So England decided to set up its own colony. I'm right here, this first paragraph on this second little spot right here. At the time, London, England, was crowded and filthy. England is the country. London is the city. Okay? It was busy. There were lots of people there. It was disgusting. Hey, guys, I'm going to tell you a secret. They didn't have normal toilets back then. They had what we call chamber pots. And you would use your chamber pot, and if you were wealthy, you had a maid, and they would dump it out the window onto the sidewalk. And that's, what do you think the city of London smelled like? Yeah, so when it says it was filthy, it was quite literally filthy. Okay, it was not a place you wanted to be. Okay? So London, England was crowded and filthy. Like thousands of others, Robert and his dad, Thomas, probably lived in a tiny, cramped home. Only very wealthy people owned land and roomy, comfortable houses. And if you weren't born rich, you had almost no chance of ever achieving those things. But if you joined England's colony, you could at least get 500 acres of land in America, an area 10 times the size of the Queen's palace. You were going to get more land, 10 times bigger than the palace that the Queen lived in. That's how much land you were going to get. Okay? I'm putting a popsicle stick away because they're talking during my model and not listening. Pick a new one. So you were going to get 500 acres of land. Okay, 10 times the size of the Queen's palace. To Robert and his dad, that would have seemed like something out of a dream. And so the Ellises and about 115 others signed on to join the English colony. All were thrilled at the chance to start a better life in the new world. All right, so I read it. I looked at my heading. I looked at my text features. Step 2, I'm not just looking at first, second, and last. Which sentences am I rereading now? First one of what? Each paragraph. Okay, so let's look. Right under a better life, do we know how to tell the differences in paragraphs? You see how we call these indentions? You see how the B and by is scooted in, and there's this white space? Do you see that? Yeah. Again, I see it right here next to at. I see it right here next to but. And I see it right here next to and. Okay? Do you see how that's how paragraphs are separated? Yeah. Oh, you can't. Ooh, let me just hit Miss Trista's TV. All right, so let's reread the first sentence of each paragraph. By the time Robert was born in the late 1500s, explorers weren't the only ones visiting America. Here we go. At the time, London, England was crowded and filthy. I'm going to read that next one too. Like thousands of others, Robert and his dad, Thomas, probably lived in a tiny, cramped home. Okay, third paragraph. But if you joined England's colony, you could get at least 500 acres of land in America, an area 10 times the size of the Queen's palace. Last paragraph. And so the Ellises and about 115 others signed on to join the English colony. Let's read that last one too. All were thrilled at the chance to start a better life in the new world. All right, class, what's step 3? Ask what? Who or what the passage is. What? Do it with me? Oh. Okay, so now I'm going to look at everything I just looked at. I read it. What's the heading of my passage? A better life. A better life. I looked at the first sentence of each one. And each sentence told me about Robert and his dad. It told me about how disgusting London was. It told me about the land I would get if I came to the new world. It told me that that's why Robert and his dad signed on. So what do you think the author wanted me to know about this section of the passage? A better life for who? For Robert and his dad, right? So how can I put that into a sentence? Turn and tell your partner what sentence you want me to write up here. All right, what sentence do you think sums up is the main idea of the passage that we just read? What kind of sentence do you think I could put here? Brennan?
Robert and his dad joined the English colony so they could get land, more land.
So they could get land, so that they could have what?
A
A better life. Okay. Who agrees with what Brennan has said? Okay. So overall, who's my who in this passage? Robert and his dad. What about them?
They didn't have much money.
Okay. So we're saying Robert and his dad. What did they do?
They joined the English colony.
Joined the colonies. Why?
To get a better life.
To have a what?
Better life.
Yep. Okay, with your table partner, go find me one word-for-word sentence that proves that they came to the New World for a better life. Virtual kiddos, read your passage. Go find me one sentence that shows that Robert and his dad were coming for a better life. Okay? All right, guys, share a sentence with me. What is a supporting detail? Yes, I'm still watching.
This makes me happy though, because I just printed out their test and now I don't have to remember to do that at
Okay, here we go. Technology is not like me this week. Okay, give me a sentence to prove that Robert and his dad came to the New World to have a better life. Noah. Very good. Okay, this is where, let's try this on the iPad. This is where, that is where Noah just read to me. To Robert and his dad, that would have seemed like something out of a dream. Who agrees that that's a good supporting detail? Does anyone have a different one? Does anyone have a different one? Courtney. It's okay. Help him out, Brennan.
Right after that.
The sentence right after this. And so the Ellises and about 115 others signed on to join the English colony. Who would agree? Okay. Anyone have a different one? What happens if I come to the New World?
You get 508 land in America.
Boom.
Can't count.
Okay. Any of those details, any of these details show that Robert and his dad, they had an opportunity to have a better life. Okay? All right. All right. What was step one? What was step one? What did we do first? I read it. What did I look at when I read it? What was our title here? A Better Life. Very good. What did I reread? The first sentence of every paragraph. I looked at the first sentence of every paragraph. Then I stepped back and we asked ourselves, who or what? Okay? Do we have questions about how we just did that together? Okay, let me give instructions to virtual really quickly. Virtual kiddos, we are going to read the next two sections of our article. Grave danger and, hang on. I told you, me and technology aren't about it today. We're going to read grave danger, and then the section right after that on the next page, I don't remember off the top of my head, grave danger and worried whispers. Okay, so on your own, go read both of those sections. You need to give me main idea of each section, and then you also need to give me at least one supporting detail, and then come back and unpause this video when you're ready to check in. Okay, so we still aren't doing step 3. What is step 3? Okay, how many times did they mention Robert in the section grave danger? 1 time. Who was that section mainly about? The Native Americans. So now that I know who it was about, what do I need to ask? What did they do? What was happening to them? What kinds of things were happening to the Native Americans in this section? Alex, give me one. They were getting sick. They were dying from diseases that the Europeans brought over. What's another thing that was happening to them? Dylan.
They were being attacked.
By who?
The English people.
They were being attacked. They were dying from attacks. Jesse. People were stealing their land. Okay, 3 things that I know were happening to the Native Americans. Were those good things or bad things? Why are they bad?
Because you don't want them to happen to you.
You don't want, I wouldn't want those things to happen to me. I don't want to die from a disease. I don't want to die from an attack. I don't want my land stolen. So what could we say then? What did the author want me to learn about Native Americans in this section? They were in danger. They were being threatened. Okay? Bad things were happening to the Native Americans. Any of those things, kiddos, is my main idea. Okay? Does that make sense? So those 3 things I just said, we would call those what? Supporting details. We would find those sentences word for word about how they're dying from disease, their land is being stolen. Any of those things support the idea that the Native Americans were in grave danger. Does that make sense? Okay.
Well, the colonists waited for John White to go get supplies.
Okay, so let's go through it one more time. We asked ourselves who? Who was grave? Where am I at? No. Who was worried whispers about? John White. So now we ask ourselves, what about John White? What did he do?
He went back to get supplies.
He had to go back to get supplies. So what main idea would I put there?
John White went back to get supplies for the colonists.
Excellent. John White left for supplies. The colonists begged John White to leave for supplies. Any of those things. Okay? There were worried whispers. The colonists were worried they weren't going to survive. So what did they do?
John White to go back to get
Excellent. All right. Go find me a word-for-word sentence to prove that that's what this section is about. Read me a sentence that proves that this section was about John White leaving for supplies. Read me a sentence. Michaela.
Robert's dad and the other settlers begged the colony's leader, John White, to return to England and bring back help.
Good. Anyone else have a different sentence? Brennan.
Then, with a heavy heart, White boarded the ship back to Europe.
With a heavy heart, John White boarded the ship back to Europe. Find me a sentence that shows why they were worried. Find me a sentence that shows why they were worried. Noah.
Then a few weeks of watching Robert began hearing his dad and other brothers whispered worriedly about the fire around the fire at night. The settlers were
Okay, those first 2 sentences, right? The settlers were what?
in trouble.
In trouble. All right, let me give virtual instructions really quickly. Virtual kiddos, thank you for working so hard for me today. If your main idea is not sounding like the main idea we're coming up with in class, you need to let me know so that I can help you. You have an exit ticket on Google Classroom called Main Idea Passage Exit Ticket 2. Complete that for me, and then we are good to go. Thanks for working for me.